Good morning, everybody. It is September 9th of 24. It's about 10 o'clock in the morning. 87 degrees, going to be hot. So again, my hair is up, and I promise someday you'll see me with it down. Um, Anyhow, had a really good weekend and a real good TED Talk just about a half hour ago. Um, So I guess let's just get started. I want to start with this prayer by, oops, I suppose I got to share. It's prayer by Mary Lou Lake. It's from the book Prayer or What Witches Don't Want Christians to Know About, Prayers for Release. I say this every morning and every evening. I have for about 10 days now. I read it to my husband one evening before I went to bed. He said, well, you probably only really need to say that just once. And I thought, yeah, I guess. I don't know. Um, but I sat down and thought about it. I said, well, God, what do you think about that? And all of a sudden I heard in my head, 40 days and 40 nights. I thought, okay, I'll do this for 40 days and 40 nights, and then maybe every Sunday, But I like this prayer, and thank you, Nathan Reynolds, for posting it. Father, I declare that you are the one true Elohim, the most high Elohim, the Elohim of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I ask you to forgive my sins and cleanse me of all unrighteousness. Create in me a clean heart and renew a right spirit within me. I plead the blood of Yeshua over my eyes and ears and over the eyes and ears of my family, so we can see and hear truth. And I ask you to shield us from all forms of mind control that can enter the eye gates and ear gates, and I like to add the nose gate, mouth gate, and skin gates. I declare that we have access to the whole armor of Yeshua according to Ephesians 6. Our loins are girded about with truth, and our feet are shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. We have the breastplate of righteousness, the shield of faith, the helmet of salvation, and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of Yeshua. As we commit to our works unto you, our thoughts will be established according to Proverbs 16:3. Father, I ask you to apply the blood of Yeshua to any doors that I have opened to the enemy that I am unaware of, and I ask you to reveal these doors to me so they can be closed forever. I take the authority that Yeshua gave me over all the power of the enemy according to Luke 10:19. I stand upon your word in Matthew 16:19 that I have been given the keys to the kingdom, and what I bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and what I loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. I take authority over the kingdom of darkness in every plane of existence that has access to me, and I bind the power of the enemy to affect me or my family, and I loose the power of the kingdom of God to form impenetrable shields in every dimension, above, below, and all around, in the name of Yeshua. I stand upon the promise in your word that says that no weapon formed against me shall prosper, according to Isaiah 54:17. I stand upon the 91st Psalm that no evil shall befall me, neither shall any plague come nigh my dwelling. The 91st Psalm also promises that your holy angels have been given charge over me and my family to keep us in all our ways. Father, I ask you to send extra angels for reinforcement during times of spiritual warfare, in Yeshua's name. Father, I ask you to forgive the sins of all my ancestors and the ancestors of my children and grandchildren. And I plead the blood of Yeshua over my DNA and the DNA of all my descendants, which cleanses our bloodlines of all iniquity. I bind the power of any generational or familiar spirits to attach or influence us, and I loose the power of the kingdom of Yeshua within us and around us as we keep your commandments. I declare that our family is free to walk in the blessings of Deuteronomy 28. I ask you to forgive the sins of all individuals being used by the enemy to combat our family and ministry. I ask you to forgive the sins of all their ancestors, and I plead the blood of Yeshua over their bloodlines all the way to the DNA level, breaking the power of iniquity. I ask you to break all of their occult power to the highest levels, making it impossible for them to be used by the kingdom of darkness to harm anyone. I ask you to save their souls, deliver, and heal them. I plead the blood of Yeshua over every action and every word spoken against me and my family, nullifying the demonic power. I command any evil spirit sent on assignment against me and my family to return to the place they were sent from. I bind these spirits from harming those that sent them, but I pray that their defeat in their mission would serve as a testimony of your greatness and the victory that Yeshua won for believers in Yeshua's name. Father, I ask you to remove my DNA and the DNA of my family from any hair, blood, or any other contact object in the hands of the enemy and break all conduits to our physical bodies in Yeshua's name. Father, I ask you to forgive the sins that have allowed technology to be used as a weapon against your creation. I ask you to place shields between me and my family and all broadcasts of the enemy through the airways, TVs, computers, phone lines, electric lines, and satellites. I stand upon the promise in your word that you are our shield. I ask you to purify our air, water, and food in Yeshua's name. Father, I ask you to forgive the sins done on the roadways, railroad tracks, and waterways. I ask you to forgive the sins of any individual or groups that have adopted the roadways, and I ask you to break any occult connections that would give power to the kingdom of darkness. Father, I ask you to provide divine protection during any modes of transportation. I ask you to surround our vehicles with your holy angels to ensure safe travel in Yeshua's name. Father, lead me in paths of righteousness today and attune my ears to your voice that I may follow you. I ask you to fill me with a hunger for your word that I may know you more. I give you all of my praise, my worship, the honor, and the glory in Yeshua's name. Thank you, Father. Amen. So this is an awesome, awesome prayer, and I will link it in the show notes. And I've been reading the Bible, and I just finished 2 Samuel, second book of Samuel, and I'm getting it. And I have to say that it's the version that my counselor recommended, which is the oh, geez, Louisa. Let me see real quick. I got enough of Amazon. It's the not the New Living. It's the hang on, give me 1 second because I showed it to my husband and he wanted one. It came 2 days later, and now he's been digging in it and comparing from his old Bible to the new Bible. And I asked him, are you finding any conflicts? He's like, no, it's just easier to read and better to understand. So it's really quite exciting that both of us are enjoying the Bible. It's called oh, here it is, the NLT, which is the New Living Translation. And it's excellent. Highly recommend it for new beginners. And my counselor also recommended another one that's due to arrive today. He said it's just as good as the one that we did, but it's a little more in depth. It's called the Amplified Holy Bible. So I'll put the links for both of those in here as well. And down the road, you'll hear me and my counselor discussing this particular version and what's great about it. But it's a woman who put in 20,000 hours of research comparing all these Bibles and different translations and the different languages, et cetera, et cetera. And she just made it easier to read. So that was cool. And now I'm going to get into the journal. And I keep forgetting I have the open handwritten one here, and it just dawned on me while I was reading the prayer. Duh, I've got it on in here. So let me find it real quick. I'm sorry, I'm not prepared yet again. 4/3/24. I remember one of these I had dated wrong. Oh, I read that to you guys already. Where is it? Well, I think maybe I'm missing one, so I'll just stop share there and I'll read it from here. But I also want to share something I did this weekend. It was really exciting. I took my maps because I have so many parts, and I had taken their walls and borders down between them, and there's various evolutions, but for the past about, I don't know, about a month since I created Lake City and put it on there. I believe I showed you that last time. Instead of having just, like 20 or 30 people on one page, I thought, you know what? I'm going to list them all out. I did it alphabetically, and I know each page is not alphabetical. That's because when I put the pictures in and it said, design manager, and I selected this particular design. I thought it looked like a yearbook. I thought it was cool. It kind of scrambled each page, but it's ultimately alphabetical, just not within the page. So um, here's my guys, all my parts. And I'll just, go down them quickly. There's 181. And these are the ones with all their new pictures, and they all have new names. And this weekend, what was exciting was I went through the entire list, and 80% of them chose new purposes. Now, I had done that before when I created Lake City, and about 20 of them chose new purposes, and they were purposes within Lake City. Like some of them wanted to be on patrol, and some of them wanted to teach the children, and some of them this and that. And after a couple of weeks, I thought, well, they're all still just doing their purpose within Lake City. In my mind, I thought they're kind of retiring in there. And I don't want them retired. I want them active and alive and conscious with me here and now. So they each selected a purpose for out in the real world. And so I've got 3 more slots in case I have more people. And anyhow, I put the design manager on this next page. I thought it looks pretty cool. So we got the waterfall that makes the lake and with the meadows around it. And this stuff is the same. So they have their purpose. They can do whatever they want in Lake City. They can trade jobs and whatever, as long as everyone's fed, clothed, and they're warm and comfortable and happy. They can do whatever they want in there. But out in the world, they now 80, like I said, 80% of them chose purposes out in the world. And like I said, I showed you guys this last time in the community bulletin boards. And there's blue. So what I did was I went through all the pages again. And so this on the left is their new picture, their new name, their new purpose or their role out in the real world. And I thought, well, as I show this to people, I want them to understand where this person came from. So this was my first split blue. I was 3 weeks old, and she, her purpose then was to go through a blood baptism, be initiated into the cult. So, and then I have her journal entries and sketches pertaining to her. And so each person, his purpose is still the same. He still has righteous indignation. So out in the world, he's going to express it. He's going to communicate it. And spirit, you'll notice that she does not have a new purpose because she and I don't want to change it. She's our spiritual connection to God and Jesus. And we changed her picture from this cartoonish thing because when I first discovered her, she was a little girl, even though this is a picture of a boy. It captured the vibes that both she and I liked. So, but she selected this as a new purpose or new picture. So that's neat. I'll show you the next one and then we'll get into the journal. And here's Gerald. He was my grandfather who abused me. So, and his name was Grandmaster Grandpa, and he has not selected a new purpose yet, but it is here, right here, warn about Freemasonry. His purpose then, I forgot, I should have put this on here, was to basically, I should put that on right now. He was the Masonic and cult leader. Leader, user, we'll put programmer. He has since switched over to the non-cult side. His allegiance is with the non-cult. And that's why he got a different picture. And so they're good. I'm glad we caught that. Thank you, Gerald, for letting me know. And I need to do the same with, this was my grandma who was mistress, except she was the witchcraft cult leader, abuser, and programmer. But she's not Greta, and that's what she looks like, sweet lady. I don't think they're old ladies in my mind because I'm only 59 this year. But this was her original. Actually, her original picture was a picture of my grandmother until I differentiated out. Okay, grandma was the real world person, but who's the part inside me that embodies my grandmother's philosophy? And this was the picture that came up, which was freaked me out when I first, still freaks me out a little bit when I look at it, but this is the new picture that she selected. And I think down the road, Greta and Gerald might pick pictures that are younger. And same thing with David. This was my dad. At first I had a picture of my dad till I differentiated out. And then this is the part who likes to be a bully. This was a domestic violence picture because that's what my dad was all about. Abuse, domestic violence, etc., and all the ritualistic stuff. But this is his new picture. He was an engineer, and I believe I get my attention to detail and my left brain analytical thinking from him. It's mine, it's my part, but I get it from him. So anyway, that's enough of that. My parts just wanted you to show you what last night when I finished it, I called it their yearbook. And then I realized it's not a yearbook, it's our life book. So go through them again. Here's all their new pictures and their new names. Some are young, some are old, some are workers, some are studiers. This is my little Dixie dog. This is the part inside me that comforts and loves. And I can't bear to change Dixie's picture neither, or her name. So she's one of the few that has not changed her name or picture yet. Anyway, you'll get to know all these people as we go. But I just want to show you all of them again. I love them all. They're wonderful. Just show you all of them, and then we'll get into the journal. There's the last one. Yuri, I think, will probably change his picture in time, maybe not, but he started off as a really, really ugly picture, and this was the next one he selected. So I'll get off of that, and I will read the journal from my handwritten notes because somehow I've missed this one on my computer. So this is dated April 3rd of 24. I took Dixie, my little baby who's right under me right now. I took Dixie for a walk today. And now this is, I think I had one or two sessions with my counselor already that were not recorded. He recorded them, but sent them to me, but for some reason there was no audio. So anyway, they're just lost. And so I remember reading this, and I took Dixie for a walk today, and she went on a not so frequent route. She wanted to cross Avenue S. Avenue S is a 6-lane plus center lane heavily trafficked road. Plus, it was 8:30 in the morning, very busy. As we approached, there was no way to cross. I picked her up to not allow for her to allow for any unforeseen accidents for her to get in the road. I stood there looking and realized I should walk down about 100 yards so I could cross where the center divider was and not try to cross 7 lanes at once. There was no crosswalk for a mile. As we walked, I said, I've got to save you. So we got to that spot and traffic was clear. I carried her across the center divider and I did a slow run just to be sure of no cars. As I stepped up to the curb, somehow I missed it and I tripped. And right now in this moment, that spot on my knee is hurting just a little bit. It's funny. It's just flaring as I'm reading this. As I stepped up onto the curb, somehow I missed it and tripped. I recall thinking, don't let go of Dixie. And I fell onto my knees in my left palm and right elbow because I had Dixie right here. She's small. I watched and saw Dixie's left leg jerk a bit as we landed. So I still held her, but her foot just hit the ground a little bit. And so before I got up, I made sure she was okay, and she was. I also made sure the leash had only 1 foot of slack. Only then did the thought of, did anybody see me fall? Went through my head. But then I answered myself, well, if they did, they'll wonder if this woman between lanes on her knees and if her dog are okay, not about how stupid or clumsy they are, because that's what a part was. Oh my God, they see me. Oh my God. But then another part's like, well, no, if they see an older woman with a dog in the middle of the road on their hands and knees, I'm going to hope that they're concerned and not thinking about, what a clumsy person. So I was starting to become conscious of these different parts talking to each other. Up until then, I had always just thought it was my normal conscious self thinking. But no, it's the parts chit-chatting to me consciously. The ones that were conscious at that time. I got up, my knees were impacted, and I broke a nail. I was upset I broke a nail. It was clear, so we crossed to the other side. It was on the other side. It was on the other side and safe that I realized one of my parts was sabotaging and self-harming, and also in collusion with other parts to see how I handled it. We crossed back over about another 100 yards down the sidewalk without incident. It was funny. Like I said, Dixie never takes this route because as you approach it, it's close to a railroad track, and the train flying by makes her nervous. And so we get over there. She walks about 100 yards, wants to come back. So I think this was God guiding Dixie for me to have this experience is what I believe. Dixie then went through the wild park in an unusual way. And when I say wild park, it's not wild. It's just a hunk of desert that's not developed, and it's about the size of a city block. And people go through there with dirt bikes, or they used to. My stepson used to call it the jump park because people would go through there and people had made places where you could jump and stuff. So we got to our usual path and back into the neighborhood. I thought that since I was mildly injured, we should go straight home. I also thought that Dixie might want to go her usual way, another half mile or so. The parts are talking to me, the parts wanted to see how tough I was. Would I do what Dixie/they wanted? Because I thought I should go straight home and clean up my knee and whatever. It was bleeding a little bit. And they're like, no, think about what we went through. And you just bumped your knees and you get a little bit of blood. How tough are you? They were testing me. Was I tough enough? I wasn't really hurting, so I did. Plus, I said to them that, yes, I can handle it. I said, you went through so much worse. Halfway home, all the little ones climbed on me and I carried them as I carried Dixie, because Dixie will get to a certain point where she wants to take a break. So I pick her up and we'll walk for half a block or for a block. But this time my little one said, well, okay, you're walking, you're tough, you're handling your injury and going a long way. And will you carry me? And I said, sure. Will you carry me? I said, sure. And I went up with like 8 little ones I was carrying along with my dog. And I'm just hugging them and carrying me, obviously in my mind's eye. Halfway home, all the little ones climbed on me and I carried them as I carried Dixie. I had an infant on my chest, 2 and 3 and 4-year-olds on my hips. I kissed them all. I saw about 8 children on me that I carried and kissed and hugged and squeezed. I carried them a few blocks as I carried Dixie. Then on a corner, a black car with strange plates stopped near us. I was on guard passing it. All my parts were. Once I passed it, a woman got out and went into a house. Oh, and then they relaxed. All was okay. But as long as she just sat there in the car without getting out. I'm like, well, is this someone coming after me? So 2 more blocks down, it was just me and Dixie again. She was walking. Then we got to the corner. Dixie always wants a ride again, this one particular corner. I picked her up again. As I was kissing on her, it was the baby and infant part. And I just loved her up. Then 1 block down, walking, it was now 2 boys, one on my left and one on my right. One was 7 years old, one was 8 years old. They liked and approved what I had done and walked me the rest of the way home. At home, after I changed clothes, I saw the skinned knees I had. That's when a younger boy, 6 years old, said he was the accident prone one and skinned our knees and was hiding on the walk. There was about 12 parts on that walk today. I choked up with tears. I love them all so much. I'm now limping from sitting writing this. I'm quite sore. So that was that. Let me see. So God had Dixie go this route for my parts to come and test me. And then, was this the same day? 4/3, yes, it's a separate entry. But that was the morning entry. So this is the evening entry, 4/3. We were at Grandma's house. I was about 4. I was excited because we got to play with our cousins, no adults, no abuse. We had breakfast. Later, around 10 a.m., they came to get us. They walked over from their house not too far. We left with a spring in our step. Should be a fun day. We walked to the barn. That's where the snakes are. A boy cousin pulled away a steel plate 2 to 3 inches thick with a tractor. I think he was about 14, the oldest of us. When he pulled it away, there was a hole under it, like a grave. I said, "What's that for?" He said, "Go take a look." I walked over, tripped, and fell into it. And over off to the left, later on, I added, "I may have been tripped." And then the boy says, he said, "Go take a look." I walked over, tripped, and fell into it. And he says, "I guess you are the one," in like this demonic voice. I said, "For what?" He said, "You'll see." I stood up to get out, and another boy cousin pushed me down. I was now on my back laying. I saw a skull and 2 bones and an X by my feet. The boy on the tractor pulled the big plate over me. I shouted, "I don't want to play this." He said, "Shut up and lay down, or do you want your head chopped off?" As the plate was now being pulled by my chest. He's literally on a tractor pulling this thing. He said, this boy's face and voice changed. It was a devil. It made me freeze. I was stunned. He said, "Shut up and lay down. Do you want your head chopped off?" As the plate was now by my chest. And I screamed, "I don't want to play this." He said, "Too late, Trip." That was the name of my part, Trip. Everything went dark. I was freaked. It was pitch black, no light. Dirt was stirred up. I was panicking. I pushed on it. Nothing. I hollered for the others. "Angie, Mary," nothing. And if you knew, those are my sisters. Let me out. I don't want to play this. Nothing. It was silent and black. It was the size of an adult coffin. I had some room. There were some ants, 20 or so, crawling around. It was about 10 a.m. when I went in and about 4 p.m. when I was let out. I shouted and pounded on that plate. I was furious. I screamed and screamed. To hell with them all. I'm going to die in here. These ants are on me. I squished the ones I could. I cried. I sneezed. I moved down and kicked the skull and bones until they broke. It took a long time. The dirt stirred up. And as I'm reading this, I'm just realizing, did I already do this on video? I hope not. I'm sorry if I did. I hollered and screamed. I wet my pants. Was I going to die? Are they going to let me out? Fury at it. Fury at them all. Fury at the world. They were supposed to be nice and play. Fury, exhaustion, tired, passed out, panic, tears, snot, wet pants, smelly. My fists hurt. My eyes itch. Fury, panic, shouting, crying, dark, dark, dark. Ants annoying me, sneezing, snot, kicking and breaking the bones, kicking and kicking. Fury at them all, destruction. And I wrote fury this big compared to the rest. Then I felt a rumbling. The sun. I was blinded. More sun. Covered eyes. They were looking down at me. Just lay there. He said, you can get out now. Silence. No words. I hated them all. I got up. They laughed at me. Pee pants. And then they said, trip. I tripped getting out. I got up again. I got out. I looked at all of them in the eyes. I hated them, each one. Silence. I walked past them and back to the house. Mom saw me and was shocked. What happened? Nothing. Why are you wet? I don't know. I walked past her and Grandma, who smiled and said, better wash up for dinner. I glared at her. Mom took me to clean me up and put me in PJs. She kept asking what happened. I told her, ask Angie and Mary. Or another time I said, you wouldn't believe me anyway. I told her I would never play with them again and not to make me. I said they were mean and nasty and tricked me and left me alone all day. Angie and Mary let them. I didn't leave Mom's side unless I had to. Trip is this part's name. Rocky is silent and still and hides us. Trip is anger and fury and vengeance for us, destruction. The bones were all shattered. I lost my voice from all the shouting. I told Mom I got a sore throat. Trip is the one who can kill, maim, and hurt. Okay. So I put on here after the session, any thoughts about today? What did I think about the session? What did anybody else think? Does John need to know anything? So the next entry is April 6th. It's a full day and a half later. Need to record soon after session next time, which I did have this up. Let me see. I got to share. I keep reading it off my handwritten one. I feel relieved. I feel hopeful. I'm surprised at what made me cry. The shooting in Milwaukee was so far from my mind. I never really thought of it as a trauma. To have John say so is validating. Scientology just tried to erase it. To also be able to convey details about events was awesome. No one ever wants to hear that, but I have to say it out loud to someone. Now John is that person, a relief. I'm not alone. I showed Chris the video John recommended. Chris got his back up over the whole thing. Anger, anger, anger. Just fixated on the error on the news report. Didn't matter. I proved it an error. He just fixated on it being BS. Didn't help. He was drinking. As always, he always seemed, and I don't want to speak badly of my husband. He is a veteran with PTSD, and he uses beer to relax. So, and I'm not making excuses for it either, but it's just where he's at. And compared to 20 years ago, he's in a great place. So he always seems to want to compete for having the worst traumas or anything. He's very competitive. He still says to leave it all in the past. He doesn't get it at all. This morning, he was more reasonable and sober. He agreed to help me and be with me on the next session. He watched the video on predators, and this is where he liked and related to John. He would even talk about how he was like John. He had the same opinion as John. And it was only the Q&A part of the video, the first part of his video. And then, by the time we got to the meat and the potatoes of the talk, Chris became annoyed again and was drinking. I turned it off. It really disappoints me to no end how little he cares to learn and what little insight, I guess it's GHT, sorry, he has and how opinionated he is. I feel like I'm irrelevant to him, but I know I am relevant to me. It's lonely. He did bring up Dick Fashing again. I asked if he had any missing time. Says no, remembers all of it. It was his birthday today. I made him a cake. All parts were quiet today. And just to let you know, the part that was talking there is the part inside of me that's the wife. And, we all want that picture perfect relationship, of, oh, your husband listens to you and understands, whatever. But most guys aren't like that, and John's a counselor. He's trained to do that. And so also, each time I think of the financial generosity of John giving me more help for no money, it just tears me up. Who am I to get such a great gift? Who am I? I am the one to give gifts, but for me, I'm blown away. A gift from God to me, I hope to be worthy of it. A part that doesn't feel worthy is not so quiet. And this indicates just space and time. I believe I was laying down to go to bed. The nursery rhyme is going through my head. Who's afraid of the big bad wolf? The big bad wolf, the big bad wolf. Another part, not such a badass after all. What a wimp, I say. Go away, you're not needed or welcome. Go along to get along, I say, woohoo! Who's afraid of the big bad wolf? The big bad wolf. Whatever, quiet down, she needs to sleep. Just a little bit of insanity, I say. So this is a bunch of different parts I'm becoming conscious of. I don't know who was saying what or for what reason or whatever. I thought, okay, well, at least I'm hearing them. So that was cool. So that was 4-6. Let me get to 4-6. Then we go to 4-10. Oh, this was interesting. So this is 4-10, 5 minutes after session. So Blue introduced herself. You saw a picture of her. She's my first split. When she was 3 weeks old, I was almost drowned in a tub of blood, baptism to Satan. When I was pulled out of it, someone said, she's Blue, thus the part name. I recall my breath going out of me and into bubbles in the blood. My eyes were open. I saw them. Then after a bit, I was raised up and out of it. It was cold in the air. I was cold in the air and shivering. I was blue. John says blue is the core or first split. I feel blue jumping up and down with happiness. I'm really excited to be doing so well with all of this. My parts are showing up left, right, and center. They all want to be known at once. I think the timeline on the butcher paper would be cool to do. It appeals to my need to see it all chronologically. All in order would be nice. And I realize this is a part talking. That's why I put a little dash on. I don't like everything scattered all over the place and messy. It confuses me. And I go over the timeline, and it's freaking awesome, fantastic. I like him. Wolf here. Are you of good cheer? It's one of my parts. I started to highlight the part's name. I'm so excited, so excited. It's another part. And we are not so dumb after all, doing so well. Thank you, Jesus. You have truly blessed me. The twins, frickin' frack. I sense 2 very large guards just behind me to the left and right, and they're saying, no one is allowed to hurt the kids. Got it? Yes, indeed, I got it. No harm, only loving, freedom with your permission. So this is parts talking to me and seeing how I'm reacting. Frick and Freck are huge men, like professional bodybuilders. They keep their arms crossed. No one breaks the gates without their permission. They are soldiers and stand at parade rest. They snap to attention instantly when triggered. No one hurts the kids. No one. Mary Jane, which is fascinating because right now I do not have a part with this name. So I need to jot this down and see if I've missed one. Mary Jane. I'm thinking that this is my part that smoked weed, who I called Pothead. She said they keep us all safe. Not always, not when they sleep. Plus, they eat too much. So big. He's a frickin' frack. I've got a bit of a headache now going to rest. Shudders on my neck, too. And then, so I don't know why I put this bullet here. Man, I don't want to do that timeline thing. Too much work. Angry script. I don't remember saying that. I don't know what that means. I think it will be great. So I'm going to jot down the date of this journal entry too, because I think I've missed some things and I don't want any parts to feel neglected. So blues come back again. After I lost my air, I wiggled my arms and legs all over. I'm 3 weeks old. I was shaking, wiggling, really flailing around. A hand on my chest, just pushing me down. I hit the hand, wiggling, then pressure in my head. I have a headache now as I was writing it, still struggling. Then a bubble out of my lungs. My arms and legs are floating now. It's all red. Now up, they're pulling me up out of it. My neck hit my back on the way up. Just bam, you're supposed to support a baby's head, right? There's a finger in my mouth. Now all of a sudden I have air. My whole body convulses. Air, air, air. I scream. It's dark with fire and chanting. The air is moving. And there's eyes in the air. It came to my face and I blow it away. I cringe. Air, air, air is so good. Sarge says, get to work now. We are hungry. So, and I believe, well, I can't remember. I remember I sat down and did the sketch of Blue as I was eating lunch. And I'll show you the sketch of Blue. Where are ya? Here we go. Oh no, this is Trip Buried. I need to find it. Sorry, not prepared yet again. Where is Blue? Blue, Blue, Blue is one of my first sketches. I showed y'all it last time. Come on. Oh, that's because I'm in the journal entries, not the sketches. Okay. Name. Oh, Coven. Oh, here's Blue right here. So we were in a cave. There's, all the little cult members standing around. There's my dad, my grandpa, my grandma's doing the ceremony. There's torches going, and there's me gasping to breathe, blood dripping off my body because I was submerged in it. And here's a dead baby right here. I'm not sure why they were holding it, but I believe that's where part of the blood in this vat came from. So the baby was killed and drained of its blood into a tub. I was newborn, placed in it and under it until I almost drowned. I was purple, then raised up to the demon for baptism. And you'll see, these were the eyes that I saw in the air. This demon wants to, claim me. So that's the sketch. And you'll see they're all singing, Hail Satan. And they had this energy all like, I could see it. It was like flowing up in him, feeding him all to, for this baptism That's what those lines are, and they're all hail Satan, hail Satan. So that was awesome. Not. So let me save that and close it out. And we'll do the next journal entry. So that was 410. We go back. Journals before. So I need to do the one for 410. John and the Willow, Blue Frickin' Fire. Okay, I did that. So the next day, 411, Winnie and Willow. Oh, right. I remember this now. So the previous day that I just read you, so I'm hearing these parts saying, who's afraid of the big bad wolf? The big bad wolf. Well, that part revealed herself. Her name is Wolf. I didn't know it till after, but I'm laying down to go to sleep, and all of a sudden I get this image in my mind, memory. There's a man in a wolfskin coat and pants and a head covering with a wolf skull that hangs over his forehead, just these fur things hanging down. He has with him a very large dog, Wolf, at his side. He trained me about dogs, large dogs. He also tortured and killed people and children with those dogs. And now here's the part. Who's afraid of the big bad wolf? The big bad wolf, the big bad wolf. And I believe my part hears this because that's what this instructor guy would do. He would start off his sessions singing that, and then he would move into his training. He would sing this over and over. We were put in cages, and these big dogs would come into the room at us. They were hungry. They were not fed so as to be mean and vicious. They were always looking to eat, so loud. We were supposed to learn to be calm in our cages, and then out of them, the dogs could smell our fear. I'd be very still in the center in the cage. I was also stiff and scared. You cannot cry. They know. They would come after you. Forgive me, but I need it. They would come after you the instant you are afraid or cried. Non-stop barking and fangs biting. Who's afraid of the big bad wolf? The big bad wolf, the big bad wolf. One girl was torn to pieces and eaten alive. She wasn't paying attention. I forgot once I leaned against the cage. One of the 6 dogs leaped at me. Their snout fit through the hole. I should say its snout fit through the hole. Well, okay, whatever. We'll just leave it. Maybe there was several. Its teeth just brushed my shoulder. I never did that again. We could all see each other, so we knew what the dogs would go for. We had to be still and calm above all. In time, we could move, just be calm. I remember once as an adult, about 35 or so, I was in a new neighborhood. I had a boyfriend. We moved in a house, and I went out into the alley. A mean dog, barking like crazy, ran after me. It was a German Shepherd. I stopped, raised my hands, and got very calm. It stopped dead about 2 feet away from me, just stopped. It turned and walked off. I remember being surprised at what I did, and yet also knowing that I did it perfectly. Amazing. It was innate in me from that training. And I wasn't aware, conscious of parts. I, was barely aware of sexual abuse, let alone SRA or MK Ultra. So my part just took over, and I survived. That dog probably would have attacked me very badly. In time, the cage doors were left open. The dogs, each in turn, came face to face with us. The cage was large enough that a German Shepherd could walk through, and they would come face to face with us. You must be calm. Any fear, and they tore you apart. Another girl was torn apart in the cage. Angie, Mary, and I all did okay. We could look at each other. We talked with our eyes and faces. We had to be perfectly still always and calm, like hunters have to be. Then the cages were gone and we had to sit while the dogs prowled us. Don't move, be calm. So, like Carrie Elahi explained, they do things in increments. So, first, we're in the cages, have to figure out how to be calm, learn how to not lean on it, just sit there and be calm. Then, once we could do that, then they opened the doors and the dogs came in and we had to be calm. And then they took the cages away and we just sat there on the floor and they'd bring dogs in all nasty and barking, whatever. And the dogs would prowl us and come and sniff us and touch us and poke at us. And if you stayed calm, you were all right. Wolf was born. I was 3. Wolfie. Wolf kept me calm and quiet. I now know that I was more like 6, but at the time, and I put mind blowing because this is, one of my first several memories after Blue. I'm like, holy cow. Also, if we peed our pants, the dogs went crazy. Had to hold it all through the training. After a while, we got a cup to pee in. But to keep the dogs quiet, you could drink it. Awesome, I know. I learned to drink it. So did Angie and Mary. It was to leave no trace, to be a hunter. Also not to be thirsty, to survive. So now Willow, another part. Willow is my wife part. Later in life, and this is embarrassing to me now, but at the time I just thought this was the end all be all. Later in life, I used urine therapy to cure my allergies. I took right to it. This past year, I learned it was a satanic thing, but I had stopped that years ago. I did it for about 2 years to get rid of the allergies. I also recall being at a neighbor's house with my friend. I had dinner with them. Afterwards, I got welts all over my body. They were huge. The grandmother, the grandma, put me in a tub and had me drink a ton of water. Then she said for me to make water in the tub. I didn't really get it, but I played in the tub. When I had to pee, she'd made me do it in the bathwater and keep playing. After I did that, the welts slowly went away. I think it took about 1 hour. They were of Eastern European descent. The grandma barely spoke English, but I went home with no welts. Those are the Jacobiacs. I later entered this because I remembered their names. Now, what happened to me was that I started riding bicycle and I started riding it outdoors and I just loved it. It's so invigorating. Yes, it's dangerous. You're on the road and whatever. I had all the appropriate safety equipment and lights and stuff, but it's invigorating. Just talking about it now, Anyway, I did that for about 1.5 years or 2 years. And my husband and I also, even when it was raining, we'd go out and ride in the rain. It's just the most invigorating thing. Put a rain suit on, the whole thing. But I developed allergies. And at first, I just thought it was a cold that wouldn't go away, but it went on for like 2 months. And finally went to the doctor and he says, well, you've got allergies. And he tested me. And here's the awesome part. Let me stop share for a second. He gives me this allergy test, and the results come back that I'm allergic to dogs and cats, which are indoor creatures, right? Because I had a dog and a cat. And but that I was supposed that was the only thing I was allergic to. I'm like, well, but I was outside getting the allergies. And when I'm inside, I'm okay. So how am I allergic to dogs and cats? Oh, well, it just developed over time. Well, so I was looking into natural remedies to cure allergies, and I came across, CBD oil, which I decided to make for myself, bought the rice cooker and the whole thing, and did the deal. So I was doing that, and I also tried urine therapy. So I was doing both at the same time. Well, the CBD, I can't remember what about it didn't work for me, and I just thought it was a whole lot of preparation and whatever. And I was smoking pot at the time anyway, and I'm thinking, I don't understand. So I'm doing this urine therapy, and basically I drink about 1 or 2 ounces a morning. and did that for about, I think, 3 or 4 months. And then after a while, just the tiniest amount. And then I stopped, but my allergies disappeared entirely. So it could have been the CBD, the urine therapy, whatever. I'm not recommending anybody drink urine. Okay. But there's a whole thing out there in the world and a whole group of people that do this. There's chat groups and all sorts of things. Didn't really get into them, but I did read through them for a little while. And people have cured themselves a lot with it. And I don't want to get into how it works, but if you're taking medication, which I am not, which is why I was able to do it, you cannot do this because you're going to give yourself double the medication. Because whatever your body doesn't absorb, you will pee it out. And so if you're taking medicines and you drink your urine, you're going to have too much of your medicine. So anyway, just wanted to throw that in there. But I, after once my allergies were cured, I stopped, and I would go visit my sister in Arizona, and I'd noticed I'd start sneezing, and she has terrible allergies too, and just popping all sorts of pharmaceuticals for that. But when I go there, I would take 1 or 2 drops of urine and put it under my tongue. And by the next day, my allergies were gone. So I think there's something to it, but I'm not recommending it. I'm no doctor, obviously, but I just wanted to throw that in there that it worked. And part of it was I had this huge aha when I remembered this as a child going, because I was eating Eastern European food, which I wasn't used to, and I was allergic to something. And the grandma, like I said, who didn't speak English, had me pee in my tub of water, and it absorbed in my skin, and the allergic reaction went away. And I remember these welts. They were enormous. They were all over my body. It started on my thighs and just took over my body. And this old woman just threw me in the tub, and she just made me drink like 3 glasses of water until I peed in the water, because I was going to get up and out and pee in the toilet. And she said, no, you make your water in there. And it worked. So, but I do now know that it is a practice of Satanism. So I'm not recommending it at all. But maybe it was psychosomatic is why it worked for me. I don't know. So I think I'm about probably at 45 minutes or an hour. I'm not sure. I think I will end off here. Let me make sure. I kind of want to. Yeah, I think that's, oh, well, yeah, there's quite a few pages. I will go through that. Oh, I'll show you the sketch that I did of Trip being buried. Like I said, when we walked up to here, the tractor and the plate were over here. And I said, oh, what's that? I'm going over to look over, and they tripped me and put me in the hole. But, it was a setup because this kid jumped on the tractor, and then one of these guys said, oh, go take a look, and tripped me, and I fell in. And when I did, this kid was ready with the tractor and was pulling the plate. And the wheels were wide enough to go over the grave. The wheels were like over here and over here. And so, yeah, he just slowly covered it over me. And this is my 2 sisters and my cousin, and I believe, oh, this is my other cousin, but this was a neighbor boy and a neighbor boy that they called cousins. So that's the sketch. And this was the barn where the lamprey thing happened, the vat of blood, and this is where my grandmother would have me practice witchcraft with her, etc. So, oh my goodness, and then I forgot to put the darn image up. Okay, let me share. Okay, so here is the sketch of Trip. Where are you? Oh, Trip buried. There it is. Okay. So like I said, this is this tractor and this huge metal steel plate was over here. We walked up and as this kid jumped on the tractor, the other ones were, I think they taunted me to go, look, go and look and see what it is. And then tripped me and fell in. And as they were doing that, this kid was ready, firing up the tractor and was pulling the plate over. And I'm trying to get out, and the other kid pushes me back down more. And just as I'm like, no, I'm trying to get out, he's like, you better move your head or it's going to get. He just used the tractor and pulled it over me, and I was buried alive. And here's the barn where that, rape with the lamprey with my grandfather and the vat of blood that they lived in. Anyway, and then here was the place where my grandmother would teach me witchcraft. So this whole area here is just a whole setup for satanic practices and rituals and abuse and all that. So, and I put in here part named Trip because I tripped in there and they called me Trip and all that fabulous good stuff. So I'm going to stop share with that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to go over with you guys. Oh, I started doing my timeline. My counselor recommended I get a big piece of butcher paper, which I had already ready because my husband's a fisherman, and I'd wrap up our fish in this butcher paper. I had a big roll of it. And I made it like, I don't know, 4 feet long, and you put a line through the middle, and the bottom half is a -1 through -10 for how bad something was, and the top is, +1 to +10 for if it's okay. And then the 0 is the baseline, and you move from your birth to your current age. So I laid it all out and started sketching things in with pencil and marker and different things. But eventually that grew into, because it looked messy to me, it didn't look precise and beautiful the way I like, because I'm anal that way. And so I created a timeline, and I wish I had saved it as I had done it, but I didn't. I just updated it and saved it. So there's just one. And here it is right here and now. I guess I need to share again. Let me make that bigger. Oh, shoot. Is this right? Oh, new part checklist. Sorry. I need to. Emotional impact graph is what I call it. Now, this is throughout my life. I'll just show you this first. What I did was I put their name, their age, and their impact level. And obviously, if it was before they were 1 year old, I had to do point system. And it got to the point where so many things happened during one age. At the age of 3, I started just, okay, who came before who, who's what. So it's not like I was exactly 3.2 years old, but I do know that one came before the other, came before the other. And these 3 were just bam, all at the same time. So that's why they're so close. Anyway, I went into Excel here, obviously made a graph. And at first there was none of these overlays or pictures. It was just, bam, bam, bam. And so you see what the first 4 years of my life was like. Now here's the 0, the baseline. I had only these 4 experiences that were above a 0. All the rest of my first 4 years of life were down here. And you'll see I put an overlay of red. This is where SRA occurred. And these demon pictures here are where I literally saw demons. And this picture here of Jesus, I need to, I wish I had put these. Yeah, I wish those were over the top of this. I'll have to change that. Anyway, this is the one ritual where I was in a satanic ritual and they were going to have a demon enter me. I was supposed to breathe it in. And Jesus entered my body and didn't allow it to happen. He scared all The Witches Away. I read that to you several weeks ago. And so that's where this moment was. And you'd think that'd be a moment up here, but it was a trauma. So that's where these things were. I should probably put another image of Satan like right here, right before it. Maybe it should go there. Yeah, but I don't want to cover that name. So anyway, I put Jesus on top because he won the day. Anyway, but yeah, this is my chart. It's a lot of stuff. And here's, between the ages of 5 and 6, still had, I had, this is where I started school and started having positive experiences. I had a couple of negative ones, -2. My teachers are patting me on the back, saying what great work, and they're acknowledging that I'm smart and whatever. And then I'd go home and bam, my dad couldn't have that. And so he, basically didn't beat it out of me, but programmed it out of me with abuse. Then at 6, I went to a training camp my father took me to where MK Ultra was used. This is where I got my dog. And I put in here the points in time where the baptisms I did not remember until this year happened when I was at my mom's father's funeral, and they baptized me there in secret. And then my mom baptized me in secret at home twice. That happened here. So it's like God made sure to protect me as I was going through these things. And then this was a domestic violence issue. My dad decided to karate kick me in the gut when we were out at the beach. So I just labeled it as domestic violence. And then another SRA incident there. That's just between 5 and 6. Here's between 7 and 8. They took I'm at training camp, or wait, what is going on? Yeah, SRA. Oh, right. And then I had the MK Ultra stuff that Dad did in the basement. And then he took me to training camp. It's a place called School Sisters of Notre Dame. Huge place in Mequon, Milwaukee, which is just about 15 minutes from Milwaukee. Mequon, Wisconsin, which is just 15 minutes from Milwaukee. And I was trained to do many awful things. And then since I had the training, by the time I turned 8, they started using me for things, awful things. I became I won't say predator, but I was the soldier slayer, Stockholm Syndrome, obeyed orders person. Then my mom divorced my dad. And here's those years when we moved to Iowa and I was in high school. I did not remember any of this down here until about a month ago. I kept thinking, wow, I had this nice break in high school. Well, no, they introduced SRA. They kept their tabs on me, came and programmed me at the dentist's office and at a kegger. And then when I joined the Army, I was in Scientology and I was single. More SRA, more MK Ultra. I baptized myself in a river here. I just felt compelled. This is the one that I thought didn't count. But I think I was crying out to Jesus to help me because things are still happening. And then things started to get a little better. I got a couple of cats. My heart opened. Then I had got into the new age, started meditating and had a confrontation with a demon. Then afterwards, because I did not choose that demon or accept him in, I had a dream where Jesus himself baptized me. And this is where I met my husband. And if you'll see, I put down here, these are triggers. I actually need to make this larger. These were triggers that happened here, not any outside influences, just triggers where my husband and I clashed because I didn't know I had these parts inside of me. And he's a veteran with PTSD and he has parts that he doesn't recognize. And so we were clashing and fighting. And that's what this is reflective of. And that's no longer the case. Anyway, but most of my time and time that we were, boyfriend, girlfriend, when I was 45, we got married and things really changed. And then down here is COVID. But the influences of Jesus in my life, I thought I wanted to track them. So I just quickly wanted to show you that. But you start off with something very simple. I just had a graph with these lines. It didn't have the dual colors and made it looking cool like it does now, or these overlays. But you need to do something like this so you can understand how your life has gone. Anyway, I'll get out of that. Let me stop sharing. I think I'll end off. It's probably been about an hour. I think a little more. Sorry it went so long. Anyhow, thank you all for listening. I wish you well on your journey. I want to try and give you tips and tricks that will help you, things that helped me. And I'm going to have you start off with make a timeline. As I explained it just a little while ago, you got 0 as a baseline. You're going to rate things from a 1 to a 10. How awful was it? You'll see how many times I have negative 10s, and you probably will too. And then the positive things that happen, maybe you got a dog or a cat, or something nice happened, or you got baptized or whatever. Try to record as much as possible on there, because seeing it on paper, it's not just you looking at it, it's your parts. As I was laying it out, I'm asking my parts, well, where were you on this timeline? Where are you? A 5, a 6, a 10? What? And they would guide my hand and say, right here. And so, well, what's your age? And they would guide my hand. Okay, right there. And I think sometimes it was a little one who didn't really understand the paper or any of that. And like I said, the ages got mixed up from time to time, but that got corrected later. So invite your parts to help you fill out a timeline and look at it. And what my counselor said, he says, as you do that, you'll start to understand that your life, if it's up and down like mine, this constant roller coaster, that you'll understand why your life now might be doing the same thing. Because every time you get to a high point in your life, all the parts inside you have the subconscious repressed thing saying, okay, it's just a matter of time before things crash. And they do. And I've noticed a correlation between my memory work and my timeline. Is I would have one great day, one awful day, one great day, one awful day. And I was back and forth for about 2 or 3 months. And I twigged on the fact that, oh, okay, well, that's how my life experience went. So it makes sense that's how my recall experience is going to go. And now that I'm got a bulk, so many parts, got the bulk of my life back, the memories of my life, things are calming down, and I've got 3-4 days that are good and one not so bad day. So things change and they shift, but seeing it on paper and your parts seeing it on paper, you'll have realizations and understandings. So highly recommend it. Anyhow, I love you all. Take care. God bless you on your journey, and have a great week. Bye.